Fallout New Vegas. What a game.
Had enough.
One of my all-time favorites. It has one of the most immersive, interesting, and nuanced worlds ever put to code. But this game is also old, and it's dated, and it's crusty as shit, I fear. This shit is like a VRAM black hole, and the combat mechanics are barely passable. And the archaic Bethesda Gamebryo engine is being held together with little more than hopes and prayers at this point. So, a potential Fallout 3/New Vegas remaster has been a long-time dream of the Fallout community, with rumors swirling for years that a potential Fallout remake release was right around the corner. And it makes sense, right? It's a free money printer for Bethesda and their overlords at Microsoft. It wouldn't require a huge manpower or time commitment to get it made. It would offer a modernized and far more advanced version of the game for modders to work with. And I mean, the Oblivion remake was a pretty huge success after being shadow dropped on a random Tuesday. So why haven't we seen a remaster yet? Well, who knows? Bethesda has been kinda, lazy in recent years, and their release schedule has been slowing down a comical amount ever since Starfield was announced. So who knows when they'll get around to potentially even making a Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas remaster, let alone releasing it. So in the meantime, we're forced to use the tools we have. And after an incredible goon session on the Nexus, I discovered this. It's called VeryLastKiss's Fallout New Vegas, or VLK as I like to call it. It's the most popular mod collection for Fallout New Vegas on the Nexus, and it contains over 850 mods, and it presents itself to be a sort of modded, but unofficial remaster of Fallout New Vegas, which promises completely overhauled shooting and combat, sweeping bug fixes, restored cut content, all new dynamic UIs and an assload of custom animations, all new weapons, armors, perks, traits, locations, NPCs, and even whole new DLC-sized mod expansions like Long 15 and Dry Wells. Essentially, it's as close as we can get to an unofficial remaster of Fallout New Vegas without forcing Todd and the boys to get up off their buns and to make the damn remasters themselves, or forcing them to force some French guys to do it for them. And despite the daunting 852 mods to install, installing this thing is incredibly easy. Just do a clean install of Fallout New Vegas, and then just download the whole thing via Vortex with just one click, and wait for it to slowly download and install all 852 mods, and then maybe select some optional mods if you're feeling quirky, and then you're golden. And the download instructions are very detailed and, well, insistent. And you should have no problem installing this thing if you follow the steps. Also, the instructions are very adamant about installing Fallout New Vegas outside of program files. But this is completely optional, and you can download this thing no problem if you have it already installed in program files. And I've been modding for well over a decade, and I've never once had a problem with program files while modding. And if that makes me a fraud modder, then so be it, I suppose. But once it's all installed, we boot this beast up with the Fallout New Vegas script extender button, and I immediately noticed the awesome new loading screen art that's all made by Demos Art, and he does some really awesome Fallout New Vegas digital paintings, so check him out on his socials. We start a new game, get the classic intro cutscene, get headshotted by a claymation figurine, and wake up in Doc Mitchell's house, where we then go on to make our career, where we can be black, white, a Garthan refugee, or the purple-skinned mannequin race, of course. And we get back on our feet, where I soon realized that Doc Mitchell had put my career in a hospital fall. Damn. Freaky ass Doc. So we then do our psych eval, see two bears high-fiving, and tag our skills and select our traits, with VLK adding a ton of new traits to further expand on role-playing and specialization options. You can now select up to 5 traits instead of 3, like this new communist perk, where your equipment condition will degrade 25% slower because you seize the means of production, but all vendors will charge you an extra 25% on all prices, because they find you annoying, along with some others that are just God mode cheats. And we then use the Vigor Tester to set our special stats, which is now flanked by a plastic surgery console to change your character's appearance, race, and sex at any time, along with a cheat console. But we don't cheat in the Kong household. It goes against my religion. So I set all that shit and get my starting gear from the doc. And while pilfering his house for extra stim packs as always, you can now use this sweet Fallout 4-esque quick access menu to quickly grab items and to scan inventories without having to stop time to open up containers and corpses. And when you go to pick something up, there are now immersive first-person animations for all kinds of interactions, grabbing items, opening doors, inspecting weapons, drinking soda, using stim packs, using terminals, using Rad-X or Radaway, popping pills, repairing items by banging on it 3 times with a shoe, lockpicking, cutting the heads off killer drug addicts, playing with Dinky the Dino. You name it. If there's an interaction, there's likely an animation to go along with it, and they're all pretty smooth and well made, with very little animation bugs to speak of. And my personal favorite is when discovering a new location, you pull up your Pip-Boy into your field of view, and then punch in the location on your map with all new custom icons and some new, yet now, relatively speaking, old icons from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. And it's just super slick. Also, on the topic of the UI, it's been massively overhauled thanks to the UI Plus mod from ModDB, and it's cleaner, slightly more readable, and is way better looking and animated. Status messages in the top left corner, with multiple messages being able to be shown at once now, instead of having to wait for all the messages to fade in and fade out all in order. Item effect timers now appear on your screen to let you know how long your Sunset Sarsaparilla will continue sealing up your wounds for. And when hovering over items, a description pop-up will now appear and explain what the item is and what it does. Although the pop-up seems to not always work for me for some reason. It'll show up once, but when you hover over the item again, it just won't appear that time. And I'm not sure why that is. And the quest markers now float on the objective within the game world itself, along with showing how far away you are, instead of it just being a small blip on your compass. Also, enemy grenades now have an icon on them when thrown to make them easier to see, along with having a draining bar within the grenade icon itself to show you how close the grenade is to exploding, which is very, very helpful against the early game powder gangers who seem to just love to spam dynamite at you in this mod pack. Your karma is now represented by these angel and devil vault boys on a seesaw, and it'll tilt towards one of them the gooderer or eviler you are. And also, while you're being irradiated, the rads you receive are now given down to 2 decimal places, and when in a highly radioactive area, or when you take high radiation damage, your screen will then be filled by green dots and other radioactive fuzz effects, to really drive home the fact that there's a massive tumor growing in your nutsack as we speak. And my only issue with the rads is that the overall radiation level scale no longer shows up on your HUD, so you gotta look at your Pip-Boy and manually check how irradiated you are, which was a mild annoyance. But overall, these are all positive UI updates that make the game information way easier to follow and understand, as well as just looking cleaner and more dynamic from vanilla. Also, pro tip, if you hold shift when hovering over a consumable item, you can then use it directly from the world space. No need to open up the Pip-Boy just to drink a soda. You can now just drink it directly off the table it was on. Welcome to the future. So with all that out of the way, we step outside into glorious Goodsprings. Smell that air. And head on over to the saloon to get these tutorials taken care of. And we start moving around, and I noticed that the new basic run animation is way more aggressive than the actual new sprint animation. The basic run looks like goddamn Isaiah Pacheco stomp running for his life, and the sprint looks like a calm but confident stride. Which, speaking of, the new sprint feels very fluid, has almost no bugs to speak of, and helps speed up those boring walking stretches of the game at the cost of draining some AP when you're hoofing it. And all the weapon sprint animations look really good as well, and moving around in general just feels way more fluid, and there's way less of that classic Bethesda clunkiness and stickiness, and the game feels so much better for it. So we say hi to Easy Pete, and Sunny Smiles, who now wears a toaster necklace, as there's a mod here that gives NPCs random necklaces with miniaturized game objects attached to them, to give the characters' outfits a bit more personality. But I'm not sure how fashionable a stop sign necklace is. Sunny can also be recruited as a companion now, but no companions for me on this save file. I'm looking to do a bit of Lone Wanderer maxing, and once I'm done with that, mosey on over to the Goodsprings graveyard, where in our grave that Victor dug us out of, we can find a hidden stash in the dirt pile next to it. And this stash is persistent across multiple characters, so you can give yourself a present between playthroughs. And also in your grave, you can find a safe containing the entire Christian Bible. The whole thing. In case your career wants to try and make some spiritual sense of how we survived some lead to the head, I suppose. Along with snagging the Goodsprings snow globe, of course. Neat. And we then of course get into Ghost Town Gunfight, the quintessential tutorial quest that introduces you to all the aspects of questing in Fallout New Vegas, using skill checks to bolster your side's fighting capabilities, and choosing a side to take between the well-to-do Goodsprings residents, or siding with the thuggish powder gangers, escaped convicts who love dynamite, who escaped en masse from an NCR-run prison nearby. These prisoners being brought in from California to work as penal labor for a railroad project that'll never come into fruition now. And I side with Goodsprings because, well, I'm not Satan. Well, not in this playthrough at least. And try to use my skills to get extra gear from the townsfolk, but only convince the bartender. And we then muster up a posse to fight off the powder gangers, and we easily destroy them. And we also get our first real taste of some VLK shooting mechanics and combat, which really shocked me with how good it feels and how mechanically impressive it is. It's more or less on par with Fallout 4 shooting, which is super impressive to pull off in a far more inferior version of the Bethesda game engine. And Fallout 3 and New Vegas' shooting was probably one of the worst parts about it, if we're being completely honest. The shooting feels stiff, clunky, sticky, and at times, completely impactless and weak. And Fallout New Vegas did add the ability to look down iron sights when aiming, but that didn't help all that much in making the shooting actually feel any better. And VATS was hard carrying the shooting in the games and keeping it from being a complete disaster. But now, the shooting actually feels really good. Surprisingly good, and has shot the game forward several years into the future mechanically. Shooting now feels fluid, impactful, and far more dynamic and faster paced. And those stiff-ass borderline turn-based shootouts in vanilla are now replaced with fast-paced gunfights where you'll need to sprint to cover, take in the situation, and gun down these mutants and homeless marauders tactically. And it makes the combat really feel almost completely new. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of finding all my favorite Fallout New Vegas guns, and exploring locations to find all new mod weapons, and seeing how they looked and felt to shoot with all the new mod updates, animations, models, and so on. As one of my absolute favorite parts of vanilla Fallout New Vegas was finding and using the wide range of unique and powerful guns. And I remember binging those William Strife unique Fallout New Vegas weapon guides when I used to play Fallout New Vegas on my Xbox 360 as a young teenager, the way God intended for us to play Fallout New Vegas. So with all the weapons being upgraded with new models, textures, and shooting mechanics, along with dozens of brand new unique weapons to find, it just makes one of my favorite aspects of the game even more compelling and interesting. It's like playing Firearm Pokemon. Gotta collect them all. And it's great. And here's a few of my favorite weapons that I found while playing this mod pack. The Mercenary Missile Launcher is just an RPG now, which is part of the Another Millennia weapon mod pack, which has plenty of other cool guns like AUGs, M4 assault rifles, and of course the Glocky. I found some dualies from Counter-Strike in a fishing shop. Benny has another cool custom pistol called the Duke in his suite, along with Maria of course, which has gotten some really nice texture upgrades. When using the All-American unique rifle that you can find in Vault 34, you now salute and hear an eagle screech when you take it out. The Jonkler gun. The Twin Fang, a unique Desert Eagle that shoots in 2-round bursts that I found in an abandoned mine. The anti-material rifle is sexier than ever, especially with those explosive bullets. It's never not fun. Bochi the Glock.
Bro, really?
Which may be the least lore-friendly weapon ever. The Hello Kitty, a pink assault rifle that looks like you could buy it in COD. Big Chungus. No joke. You gotta be fucking shitting me. The Ranger Sequoia is sexier than ever, and Courier 6 spins that thing like Ocelot. It's awesome. Oh shit, this gun carried me through Stalker Clear Sky. The decked out Better British Assault Rifle, another COD gun. The Classic Alien Blaster, and I found this near a crashed UFO that's actually an homage to the original Alien Easter egg in Fallout 1, complete with the framed Elvis picture. The Sun Gun, a gun that regenerates ammo just by simply being outside in the sunlight. There's these cool antique World War II machine guns, and I found a unique one at a sacked caravan. Looks sick. There's a plasma spewing AK-47 with a crazy fire rate. The Gauss rifle looks awesome with its updated model and these glowing blue discs. There's lots of classic Fallout weapons too, like the laser sniper rifle, the 10mm SMG, the Watts laser pistol, and so on. And the Bozar is an absolute machine. It's a late game full auto hunting rifle that can melt Cazadors and Deathclaws with ease. And guns overall feel much more realistic with better recoil animations, sound effects, and hit markers to let you know when you actually landed a shot or not. As vanilla Fallout New Vegas gunfights lacked so much impact, it was sometimes hard to tell whether or not you actually hit or missed an enemy. The hit markers will clear that right up for you. Also, when you kill enemies, if their limbs don't immediately explode or their heads fall off from bullet impacts like they just got guillotined, many enemies will now do these custom death animations, where they grab their chest or the place they got shot at and squirm a bit until they fall over and eventually revert into a ragdoll. And it works mostly well, but when I was fighting ghouls in Vault 34, when I killed them, they looked like they were getting temporarily possessed or something, as they'd rise a bit into the air before dropping dead, which was kinda weird. But overall, obliterating my foes with these new shooting mechanics was such an awesome time, and this is probably the best you can make the shooting look and feel in this engine, and it's some really impressive stuff. Also, jams now feel much more annoying and impactful, and these smoother animations make the jams feel way longer than the snappy speed fixes that they were in the base game, and they really take you out of a gunfight for a few seconds and punish you for neglecting your poor weapons like a lazy courier, which made my investment into repair all the more worth it. However, the shooting almost feels too fast and fluid at times, ironically. You still have fully powered the world time stop VATS as a tool in your shootout arsenal, along with the ability to now press X to enter a sort of bullet time mode, where time slows down and you become like Michael from GTA 5. But X is also defaulted to a melee attack with your weapon, so you'll have to rebind one or the other to fix that conflict. Also, there are now new strength requirements for each weapon, with heavy weapons needing high strength levels to wield properly, and if you're too weak, you won't be able to sprint while holding the weapon, and your shots will be way less accurate. But luckily for us, if you don't want to dump all your special points into strength, you can unlock a perk later that reduces the strength requirements of weapons by 2, which is a huge help. But all of these aspects combined makes the shooting combat ironically pretty damn easy overall. You can just unload shots into enemies super fast and accurately. And you can then escape from guaranteed death situations by simply sprinting around walls or nearby cover to quickly get out of lines of enemy fire, with enemies struggling to keep up with you. So I recommend bumping up the difficulty to hard, as it'll keep gunfights feeling dangerous and lethal, as enemies don't get huge health buffs that turn them into walking bullet sponges, but rather, they just become deadlier and deal more damage with their weapons. But thanks to the easier and far more refined shooting, you can still take down these hard enemies relatively quickly. And I found that hard mode struck a really good balance for me personally. Combat always felt challenging with high damage enemies, but not too overly annoying, and also always satisfying thanks to the great feeling new shooting and how quickly you can still gun down your enemies. I rarely encountered any truly annoying deaths. Anytime I died, it was either because I got too cocky and was out of position, or I wasn't prepared and got my anus torn to shreds. But your mileage may vary based on your build and your playstyle, of course. And as I mentioned before, there's plenty of brand new weapons, as befits any good Fallout New Vegas mod list, and weapon attachments are now more useful and more abundant than ever. I found this scout rifle with a small scope on it pretty early on my way to Primm, and the scope effects here are awesome. It looks like modern Call of Duty with the scope's view is zoomed in, but the rest of your FOV is normal, and it looks really great. Also, containers and enemies now drop way more varied ammo types, like FMJ, JHP, AP, HP, P+, slug, junk, surplus, you name it. So you'll have small stockpiles of different types of ammo for each weapon, which are useful in different situations. Hollow points are better against unarmored or lightly armored enemies. Armor piercing is self-explanatory. Explosion makes the bullet go boom, and so on. And it makes the ammo system in Fallout New Vegas feel far more useful just through normal gameplay, as I always thought that the different ammo types were kind of an afterthought in base Fallout New Vegas. Unless you specifically go out of your way to craft ammo often, hoard all the ammo junk that you could possibly get your hands on, and seeking out certain vendors that sell certain types of ammo that you can break down into the ammo types that you actually want, and so on. VLK makes varied ammo types far more present and accessible now. And you can also find jars of gunpowder and lead and boxes of ammo casings in containers and on corpses to easily get large amounts of ammo crafting equipment to make ammo manufacturing even easier and more streamlined than ever. And finally, I love some of the unique inspect animations when picking up and holstering weapons, and it all looks really sick. I really like spinning the deagle before tucking it away in my penicular region, or flipping the Ranger Sequoia around like I'm Revolver Ocelot. And the only issue I have with the weapons in this pack is that many of the weapons have upgraded textures and models that look really good, so when you find a weapon that doesn't have the updated models and textures, they really stand out and look insanely crusty and low fidelity. But overall, the updates to guns, mods, and ammo are all excellent, and the shooting has gone from barely passable to pretty damn fun and exciting. But we obliterate the attacking powder gangers, and you'll probably have a level up ready by now, which now allows you to pick a perk each level instead of every 2 levels, with around triple the amount of perks to choose from thanks to perk mods. And the level cap has been raised to a max level of 65,535, which according to my calculations, is around a 131,070% increase from the default max level of 50. So you can pretty much level up indefinitely and become the literal unkillable god of the Mojave if you play for long enough. And I use the autodidact perk to get power armor training without doing the whole Brotherhood or Enclave remnants quests. And I also chose this new gold rush perk for shits and giggles, which will mark 3 caves on your map that will now have gold bars hidden inside them. However, these caves are filled with cazadors, death claws, and an obscene amount of radiation in them respectively. So you'll need to have pretty strong gear and be a high enough level to even get close to the gold. And I also took this run like winds perk, which made my courier absolutely zoom from then on. Like, bro, look how fast I'm moving. Also, it seems you can take intense training as many times as you want, which will let you really juice up your special stats and really speed up your ascension to the god of the Mojave Desert. And all these new perks let you build all new character builds and archetypes that you couldn't even dream of in vanilla, and it's only slightly unbalanced. But once that's done, we ask the bartender Trudy where that checkered suit man and his Repconn goons went, and all she knows is that they were heading south to Primm, so we head there too. And along the way, I snag a Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap from Gene Skydiving. Or is it John Skydiving? Which now has a unique pickup animation, and is now a fully marked quest to collect all the star bottle caps in the game. And man, that's a lot of markers. But it's also very useful. saves a lot of time. But we soon make it to Primm and kill all the convicts occupying the place with a nail gun I found, as all these low-level thugs seem to be completely saturated with nails and nail guns. And I get my hands on a backpack, a new armor item that increases carry weight in exchange for losing 2 points in agility while wearing it. And if you don't mind the agility hit, these things are awesome for easily and cheaply expanding your carry weight. But like any item, it degrades and needs to be repaired with backpacks, so you may run into a time where an enemy shoots your backpack full of holes, and then you suddenly can barely walk, so be careful of that. We eventually free the slacker Deputy Beagle, who says he overheard the checkered suit man and his goons talking about heading to Novac through Nipton.
I was performing recon. They said they'd be heading through Nipton to Novac to meet a contact there.
So we go off after their trail, but along the way, I decided to check out the massive Ranger NCR treaty statue at the end of the Long 15. An old highway to the west that is a vital NCR trade route into the Mojave. And while here, I talked to Major Knight, one of the best repairmen in the entire game, who seems to have an all-new voice actor.
Caravan, citizen, pilgrim, or... Oh, my apologies. You must be new.
In fact, several NPCs in the game seem to have all-new voice actors, like Major Knight, most of the NCR Rangers.
Never mind, I don't really care.
I'm not really much of a historian.
Wouldn't mind more water, though.
Chief Hanlon and his aides compile the reports and assign reinforcements as needed.
The Lonesome Drifter.
This here guitar is just about the only thing my daddy left me.
Aurelius of Phoenix.
What is the world coming to?
Kachino's new voice actor is peeking his mic.
I'm not doing shit. And I mean fucking crystal clear.
Although the new performance is way better, and plenty of others.
But I had you zeroed in the whole time.
And I'm not sure why the voice lines are all new. Maybe they thought that the original voice actors were too deadpan or something. They decided to make a change. Or they tried to introduce more unique voices in general. So all the NPCs no longer share the same 6 or so voice actors, to increase maximum immersion. And I also run into this NPC, Elias Turner, who I can instantly tell is a modded NPC based on his unique voice.
I hired a courier to take my paperwork in ahead of me.
Elias says that he ran into a bit of a problem. He wants to go back west on the Long 15, but the guards won't let him through, as it seems Elias here hired a courier to send his paperwork back to NCR officials in the Department of Roads and Commerce. But it seems that the courier instead stole his identity and even committed a crime while pretending to be Elias. And now there's a warrant out for his arrest, and the guards won't let him travel. So he, maybe not so wisely, hires another courier, me, to travel the Long 15 to a small town called Baker to try and straighten out things with the NCR officials there. So we interact with the new gate of the Mojave Outpost and enter the Long 15, a DLC-sized expansion mod that's all about life in the NCR. And it's a mod that poses the question, if civilization comes back, then that means that the damn DMV...
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to help with that. Have a nice day.
The shitty VA,
another 468 of those sessions, and I'll be caught up.
And suffocating government bureaucracy also comes back with it. So, is it really worth it in the end? And this mod is some really sweet shit. It adds the whole Long 15/Baker area before you get the chance to nuke it in Lonesome Road, and it's fully voiced, and is super dense with quests, interesting NPCs to talk to, and locations to check out. And what starts as a simple quest to clear Elias's name and get his paperwork back in order at the shitty NCR DMV turns into a violent and complex political three-way power struggle for dominance of the entire Baker area between NCR forces at Fort Weston, led by the chill-as-fuck Colonel Royez, who for now isn't an air-blasted beef jerky man, the shifty Mayor Stone, a hardened mercenary who runs his own mercenary company out of the town hall he and his goons now run, and Frick Stanton, a Brahmin baron who sees Baker as some prime real estate to make himself even richer and more powerful in NCR politics. And you can work with one of these 3 factions for supremacy of Baker and the surrounding area. And I, of course, sided with Royez in the NCR. I'm the two-headed bear's strongest soldier, and Royez is actually a real stand-up guy. Well, at least when he's not a walking Slim Jim that's trying to kill you. He's genuinely helpful and nice to me, and he's humble, honest, and pragmatic, so I had to help him out. Plus, his custom NCR power armor was sweet as hell. There's also plenty of great side quests in this thing. We can check out the Zayden Jerky Mart, a UFO and alien-themed beef jerky store where we can meet a guy with a tinfoil hat on, who's named Bunker Bob, who thinks aliens control the NCR itself and want to blow it up to establish a new world order and all that classic conspiracy jargon.
Aliens, they came to Earth years ago, showing how to make the atomic weapons so that we would blow ourselves up. They figured to have the NCR conquer the wasteland for them, establish a global hegemony, a new world order.
and we can get him to fuck off and get free beef jerky from the store owner if we clear out a bunker for him to live in, as he freaks out the customers. All we gotta do is kill a robot named Gort. And also, when I was streaming this on my channel, one of the actual Long 15 devs popped into my chat to say that he worked on the President Kimball alien machine, which looks sweet. The "suck my Kimballs" graffiti on the side of it really ties it all together. Also, he also told me that the Zayden Jerky Mart owner has a unique laser pistol called the Little Light Show, a laser pistol that shoots multiple scattershot lasers like those tri-beam laser rifles. And he also told me that the Long 15 devs refer to the gun internally as the Jonkler gun. I see how I got that name. Also, if you have Wild Wasteland, you get ambushed by aliens when first entering the shop. And make sure you have Wild Wasteland as a trait for this mod. There's a lot of good interactions and references to be had. Also, there's this Greek gyro restaurant, but the aggressively Greek owner of the place wants to rebrand to a more Roman theme.
I'm in the middle of a rebrand.
Which isn't going over well with the NCR guys in the area, for some obvious reasons. So much so that the NCR guys are gonna straight up kill the owner if he tries to go through with his Roman rebrand.
Someone should put him on a cross. You want to help, you should help me whack that owner. Yeah, and if you don't, then I will.
And you can choose to help him, or convince him to give up on this rebrand. We can also help this super mutant NCR veteran get his pension back from the muty-phobic asshole bureaucrats at the NCR VA, which is a great little quest that explores how super mutant citizens are treated by the human citizens, and what it's like to be a mutant in the world of Fallout. It's a great little glimpse into some of the nuances of NCR society, and if we help him get his pension back, he joins us on the final assault on Frick's Manor and on Stone's compound, which I also noticed had Red Dead Redemption music playing during the fight. Which ended up fitting surprisingly well. Nice touch. And pretty much every quest here offers plenty of player choice options to make each one as interesting as possible. And it's a really solid mod. It only enhances the Fallout New Vegas experience with several hours of fun and interesting new quests, characters, and locations. I mean, we can chop it up with Undead Bitch. What's not to love?
Fuck you. I don't talk to cops. Fuck you, cop. Damn cops kicking me out of my home. Screw you.
But I also did pretty much this whole main quest pretty early on, so I left Baker with thousands of caps, solid weapons, and I was already up to like level 12 before even reaching Novac, which I thought may be a problem later on, but to my surprise it really wasn't, which was a big relief. So after playing through Long 15 and helping Royez and the NCR put Stone and Frick on some t-shirts, I returned to the Mojave Wasteland and head to Nipton, where we...
Yeah! Who won the lottery?
Jesus, man, will you shut up?
Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus fucking Christ!
Hey, don't be fucking rude. And we meet everyone's favorite murderous Roman furry LARPer CIA agent, who took over and brutally wiped out the entire town's population to send a message about how scary and evil the Legion is to the rest of the Mojave. Sir, you did a degeneracy. You did a corruption. We're gonna crucify you now? Maybe throw your body on a pile of burning tires? Maybe chop your head off? I don't know. But the Legion lets us go for now, as Volpez probably thinks we're cute or something, telling us to tell everyone not to fuck with the Legion. So I just continue on to Novac, noticing the heavily increased Legion presence in the area. And there's way more patrols, and their camps are way larger and way more fortified, making the area feel way more properly occupied. And it's more or less an extremely dangerous combat zone around here. NPCs are constantly getting into fights, and Legion and NCR squads are constantly blasting each other. And it really helps make the Legion's presence feel even stronger. And it makes the world feel more violent, and more like there's an actual war going on here. But as much as I'd like to, I won't piss off the Legion yet, as there's something I need to look into with them. But for now, we continue on to Novac, where the first thing I do on arrival is talk to that snake bitch slave trader Jeannie Mae Crawford, and I purchased the Novac player room for only 100 caps, as back in Goodsprings, in the schoolhouse, I picked up a peculiar Hank Williams vinyl, which a pop-up said could be used in the Novac motel room jukebox, so I just had to check it out. And for 100 caps, this is the single best deal in the entire Mojave Wasteland. I absolutely fleeced Jeannie Mae Crawford. It's gone from a dingy hotel room that's only good for overdosing on Psycho in the bathtub in, to a fully equipped player home with furniture, plush doors, working light switches, a kitchen, soda vending machines, a Sierra Madre vending machine, the jukebox and vinyl shelves, vintage posters, a snow globe display case where you get 2,000 caps per snow globe you find, plus a full armory backroom with a reload station, workbench, ammo boxes, custom lockers and other containers to hold your entire arsenal. And it's a super sweet and compact player home that's an absolute steal at just 100 caps. Plus, you don't even need to pay Jeannie if you do Boone's quest and make her head explode. but I'll leave Boone be for now, unfortunately, because I don't want to recruit any companions for this playthrough, unless I absolutely need to. I really want to get the full combat experience here, so any extra help is not allowed. But we need to know where Benny went, so we ask one of the Novac sniper guards, Manny Vargas, where he may have gone. But Manny won't tell us shit unless we help him out with a little ghoul problem first, as feral ghouls keep wandering out of the Repconn building nearby. So Manny has us head over to check out what's going on, and we do find it full of feral ghouls, but also a lot of non-feral ghouls, and they're all in a weird ghoul cult religion, led by a glowing green ghoul named Jason Bright, who tasked us with killing all the nightkin in the building's basement, which are schizophrenic purple-skinned super mutants who are addicted to using stealth boys, a pre-war gizmo that makes you invisible. Well, mostly invisible. The blurry outline of the person can still be seen, but barely. And the nightkin are caught in a downward spiral, as their stealth boy usage amps up their schizophrenia and makes them even more murderously paranoid about being seen, which makes them use more stealth boys, which just keeps going from there. So I kill all these purple boys, which is very fun thanks to the improved shooting. And also, side note, in base game New Vegas, lockpicking and hacking couldn't even be attempted if your skill levels don't at least match the lock level. But now, any level lock can be attempted by the player at any time, regardless of their lockpicking skill, which makes investing points in a lockpick way less necessary. Although, these hard level locks are genuinely hard to crack open now, to try and offset this new massive buff to your lockpicking skill. Some of those sweet spots gotta be like 1 pixel wide, like I can't for the life of me find it. However, you still need the proper science skill levels to even attempt to hack terminals, so I guess VLK is a bit of a hacking elitist, cause in this mod pack, any given bum can try to jimmy a lock open, but hacking? That takes real education. But anyway, once Muscular Grimace and all his cousins are dead, Jason and his followers all run into the basement to reveal their plan to us, and that's to fix some small Repconn rockets and fly to an unknown place only known as the Great Beyond, a vague place only Jason can see in his radiation-fueled visions. But he's fully convinced that launching these rockets will ferry them to their new home, and they won't horrifically blow up in 200-year-old rockets. However, we talked to one of Bright's followers, Chris Haversim, a human who thinks he's a ghoul somehow. I mean, he can confirm he's a human by just, I don't know, looking in a mirror or touching his face to feel that his skin isn't peeling off and oozing and his nose is still there. But when we talk to him, we learn that he thinks he's a ghoul because he got a visit from the Norwood Reaper and went mostly bald, blaming his baldness on being forced to work on a nuclear reactor in the vault he grew up in, which he thinks ghoulified him. And being a ghoul, a semi-immortal beef jerky human whose mind is susceptible to rot into feral insanity at any time, and most of the people in the wasteland treat you like absolute garbage because you now look like a rotting corpse may be bad, sure. But having a Norwood 7 is worse. So Chris wants to blow up the Bright followers' rockets to kill them for lying to him. And despite how tempting it is, I'll be nice for now, and I let them fly away to their likely deaths anyway. In fact, I found 2 crashed Repconn rockets and dead ghoul astronauts near Lake Mead on the northern side of the map, and they were also surrounded by some death claws. So I guess it didn't go too well for the Bright followers. They barely made it past Vegas. But with those ghouls finally taken care of, Manny finally tells us where Benny went. He went right north to Boulder City, which is like 5 minutes up the road. Probably could have guessed that. Also, along the way, I checked out the crashed Highwayman location. Looks like the Chosen One wasn't paying attention to the road. And I found Han Solo's blaster in the trunk. No joke. It's a pretty cool weapon. So we arrive at Boulder City and learn that there's currently a standoff between the NCR and some great cons who have taken some troops hostage in the city, which is now mostly a giant pile of concrete rubble, as the Legion was coaxed into a snafu here during the last battle for Hoover Dam. They managed to overrun the dam and chase the NCR all the way down to Boulder City, but the Bear Boys had turned the whole town into a massive IED and blew up the entire city, and the Legion then found themselves in a massive open-air blender, which took them completely off guard and completely changed the momentum of the fight. And the NCR used this successful ambush to push the Legion all the way back over the dam, with this status quo being held for the last 3 years, with the next battle imminently approaching. And I negotiate with the NCR and try to make a deal with the cons, but we find that the cons in question are the very same thugs that helped Benny kill us. And we talk to Jessup, the one with the stupid ginger mohawk, and through the power of speech checks, we free the captives and let the cons walk free with no bloodshed. So everyone wins. Speech is so goated, I tell you. But we learn from Jessup that Benny screwed him over and abandoned the cons without paying them for their courier hit job. And he tells us that Benny just likely went back to his own casino, the Tops, on the New Vegas Strip. So all roads lead to Vegas. And so, I head straight for it and wander into Freeside, which has gotten some awesome visual and world space upgrades. There's string lights strung up everywhere, there's way more NPCs around, there's a ton of great new looking neon signs for motels, casinos, clubs, and shops, and it all looks really good and really helps to bolster the Vegas aesthetics and vibe amazingly well, as opposed to the blighted, borderline abandoned, concrete rubble diarrhea hellscape that vanilla Freeside was. It also adds a few new casinos, motels, and clubs to check out and explore. Oh yeah, this is my kind of club. I love compressed techno music. But it also seems to be mostly fluff. I haven't found any quests or important NPCs in these new Freeside interiors, but it really does transform Freeside into a truly Vegas feeling area that ramps you right up to the Strip, which is now a bit harder to get into. In vanilla, you only needed a meager 1,000 caps to pass the credit check and be allowed access to the Strip by Mr. House's clanker cops, but that check has now been raised to 5,000 caps, no doubt thanks to Biden inflation. Which is a change I actually really appreciate as a Fallout New Vegas veteran. That 1,000 cap check was super easy to clear, so now requiring 5,000 caps now forces you to be a bit more creative with your money making schemes, and it also made Long 15 fully worth playing when I did, as I had pretty much all the caps I needed to get in, and I didn't need to waste time running around gathering up items to sell, which was a super pleasant surprise for me. Also, the Securitrons will now try to pocket check you every time you roll up to the Strip, which means you're supposed to always have over 5,000 caps on you if you want to enter. Or you can buy a permanent passport for 5,000 caps, so you won't have to worry about being rich at all times. But the Ultralux Casino is now a fast travel location, so if we just teleport there, we can completely avoid these money checks. So after RoboCop does his pocket watch on me, we enter the Strip, which is now just one big open world space. No need to break it up into 3 small areas anymore, which is super convenient and useful, but it also kind of shows you how relatively small the Strip actually is. But hey, at least we don't gotta go through a loading screen to get to the top saying, shit, crashed again. Yup, it's still the same New Vegas we all know and love. Unfortunately, due to the huge amount of mods in the old and shitty 32-bit engine, New Vegas will crash often and predictably when playing VLK. And I found that it crashed around every hour and a half to 2 hours for me, as Fallout New Vegas slowly devours my VRAM as I load new areas and interior cells. So just be mindful of this inevitability and save often. And luckily, VLK is pretty quick to relaunch and to get back to what you were doing pretty quickly. But yes, crashes are common, so just be ready for that. But before we have a chat with Benny, Victor insists that we gotta talk to Mr. House first, so we enter the Lucky 38 and speak to the most powerful computer monitor in the Mojave.
Mr. House has a lot of needs, Trigger. I take care of all of them, and a lady doesn't kiss and tell.
This jit cracks Securitrons. Mr. House tells us he wants his platinum chip back by any means, and I really like his new Windows BSOD connection lost screen. The frowny face is a nice touch. And once we get our orders to get the chip, we gun straight for Benny and enter the tops, where we're greeted by his main guy Swank, and oh my god, VLK fixes the chairman's suit bug. This is huge. In vanilla New Vegas, Swank and all the chairmen, Benny's faction who run the Tops Casino by the way, all wear these basic white suits. But in official comics and in their official faction art, the chairmen are actually depicted wearing black suits with red ties. But in game, they wear the generic white pre-war business wear that any New Vegas street bum can throw on. But now the mod fixes this, and they're now all donning the sharp black suits that they were always meant to wear. And Swank has me hand over my non-holdout weapons, as despite picking up the distinctive cigarette butts in the Goodsprings graveyard, and getting Benny's lighter and all that, the speech checks to convince Swank to let us confront Benny fully armed don't even appear for me. But it's okay. Where we're going, we won't need them. I instead just keep my holdout weapons and convince Benny to meet me in his suite alone with a speech check. And I talk to him about his plans and what the hell the platinum chip actually is. And it's essentially just a fancy holodisk that holds software and hardware upgrades for House's Securitrons. And Benny wants to usurp Mr. House, take control of his Securitrons, and take control of all of Vegas with a robot army. And it seems ambitious and dangerous. So what's in it for me? Well, Benny says he'd pay us a decent retainer salary, and we get a cut from his future chairman-run Vegas profits. But that's not good enough. The best he can offer me is some kind of vague stipend, and I can still feel that hole Benny put in my head. Burning. Whispering to me. Telling me to slime him out. So, I pull out my laser-attached Glock and spray him down on the spot. And steal everything off Benny's body. His sweet suit, sweet Maria pistol, and of course the platinum chip, which we give to House for an easy 1,000 caps. And Mr. House then takes us down into his dungeon to show us that his Securitrons can now shoot missiles and have far more armor now. Cool. Hey, what's the NCR up to, by the way? Also, when I was roaming in the New Vegas area, the increased amount of NPCs in the world becomes much more apparent around here. I ran into NCR and Legion deserter bandit groups, traveling caravans, NCR ranger patrols, and even local drug addicts and squatters. And one time, I had fiends jump me, as fiend territory feels way more dangerous in general. There's way more tweakers and fucked up mongrel dogs attacking you at all times. And I thought I was in trouble, until a heroic, non-fiend drug addict NPC immediately jumped into battle and helped me kill these armed fiends with just a shitty knife. And I was really glad to see that they added some benevolent, good guy drug addicts to follow New Vegas. Also, I was getting jumped by assassination squads way more often than ever too. Legion assassin squads, Omerta assassin squads, Van Graff assassination squads, and even Brotherhood of Steel revenge squads were all coming and gunning for my ass. And it really let me know that someone out there really hates me. And there's also lots of new random encounters. I found this wandering mutant called Mars the Mute, who had 2 dogs following him, named Phobos and Deimos. Ah, a cosmic reference, I see. And all these added NPCs, death squads, and random encounters make the world feel more alive and unpredictable, but in a way that I enjoyed. And it really sells you on how chaotic and dangerous the Mojave really is. And I was also laughing pretty hard when the good guy drug addict swooped in to help me fight. But anyway, we also get an invitation to meet Ambassador Crocker of the NCR, who recruits us to start moving some political chess pieces into position for the upcoming second battle of Hoover Dam, starting with allying the NCR with the Boomers, former vault dwellers of Vault 34 who, like real-life boomers, are xenophobic hoarders and landlords who try to brutally murder anyone who even gets remotely close to their property. And in this case, the pre-war Nellis Air Force Base, which has massive artillery and missile stockpiles, pilot VR training pods, and fully equipped hangars that could potentially restore airplanes into working order with. So having them be on the NCR side would be pretty nice. So we head on up to Nellis and do the classic boomer missile barrage hide and seek puzzle, which is made super easy thanks to the ability to sprint. Sprinting just completely trivializes the missile puzzle, and you can just sprint to the fence after hiding just once. But honestly, that's a good thing in my opinion, as once you solved it the first time, it becomes extremely tedious and boring every other time after, as the boomers burn like 4 minutes trying to launch 25 missiles just to kill one guy. And you just gotta take it, and sit there and wait out those barrages. So we then do our boomer chores to get them to like us. We get a history lesson, kill ants in a basement, help some kids at this new schoolhouse, fix some solar panels, and raise a B-29 bomber out of Lake Mead for them to try and restore into working order. But there's no way they get a World War II era bomber plane that's been waterlogged for 300 years working again, right? Well, regardless, the boomers leader Pearl says that she'll come fight with us at the Hoover Dam as thanks for all our help. So that's one faction down. Next, we gotta get Freeside under control, as the Freeside locals and the newly arrived NCR citizens have been at each other's throats for a while, fighting over resources and seeing the NCR citizens as invaders into their property. So we need to work with Freeside's biggest gang leader, the King, the ultimate Elvis impersonator, to get Freeside to just chill the fuck out. So we ask him to stop the fighting with the NCR immigrants, and he says, I won't do shit until you help me out, man. So I then run back to Crocker and another NCR official named Shu, and we send in a squad of armed NCR goons to do some friendly negotiations. And we tell the king, hey man, stop attacking the NCR citizens and keep it peaceful around here. And the NCR will give you extra supplies, food, water, and electricity and all that good stuff. Deal? We're throwing you a bone here, man. And the king is on board with this plan because he's not a slobbering moron and realizes that trying to take on the NCR military with a bunch of petty thugs and Elvis cosplayers is probably a bad idea. But his right-hand man Pacer is having none of it. He hates the NCR and wants to fight them till the bitter end. So I tell him, look, you jailhouse rock-looking motherfucker, if you don't accept this deal, your shitty little upstart rebel king faction will get double-teamed by kings who don't want to go to war with the NCR and the NCR themselves. So he then caves immediately under the weight of my silver tongue. Another NCR headache taken care of. But after that, I wanted to check out the other main mod expansion for this collection, Dry Wells, which is sort of a sister mod to Long 15, but it's focused on the Legion and their Lonesome Road nukeable optional location. And to get there, I meet with Volpez on the strip, who gives me a cool little necklace that'll let me see his boss, Caesar himself. And we can reach his fortified camp via Cottonwood Cove. And at the entrance is a body, which has a note pointing us towards the nearby Blue Paradise Vacation Rentals, which has another corpse and a small little unremarkable dinghy that will teleport you to Dry Wells when you interact with it. Although the vacation rental place is currently occupied by a gang squad of lake lurks, so there's sort of a combat check before you actually start the mod. But we take the boat and we arrive at Dry Wells, which is way smaller in scope and in size than Long 15. I'd say it's probably less than a half or a third or so as large as Long 15. And expands on the Legion in some pretty great ways. We meet the normal citizens of the Dry Wells Villa area, and we learn that life under Legion control is a mixed bag at best. The Legion's brutal society comes with the benefit of its citizens never really having to worry about raiders, thieves, and murderers killing them and stealing all their shit.
I had a guy not pay for his haircut, so I yelled at him down the street. Saw a legionary chase him down and just Cut the poor guy's hand off. Kinda felt like it was my fault, you know?
But they also have to adhere to said strict laws, which if broken, will likely end up with you crucified, killed, or perhaps even down a hand or foot or two for some petty crimes, like simply having any alcohol or chems, or just talking bad about Caesar in general. Also, women are not allowed to have jobs or are allowed to own much of anything, and the whole slavery being a core pillar of their society thing isn't very nice of them either. And the citizens of Drywell's Manor have pretty safe lives compared to others back in the Mojave, but they also live in constant fear of the Legion and its goons, who watch their every move, and who could also easily destroy them whenever they wished, and they always have to be on their best behavior unless they want to be enslaved, or killed, or worse. And the whole map looks pretty good. The villa area here looks especially nice, and I really like the Twisted Hair's cave area too. The lighting looks sick, and the old crucified skeletons really look great and ominous. And the main story here is focused on a power struggle between a centurion named Constantine and Gaius Magnus, the other future beef jerky man that you can kill for his sweet armor, if you nuke the Legion at the end of Lonesome Road. And Constantine gets stripped of his rank and is thrown in prison after Gaius returns from campaign, as a clan of ghouls had moved into the sewers beneath dry wells, and the hordes of ferals that they keep with them for some reason started coming up out of the sewer and started attacking people and legionaries. And Gaius doesn't tolerate any sort of failure whatsoever, even if it's weirdo bands of ghouls shacking up underneath their feet without any way of knowing they're there until it's too late. So Constantine gets thrown into slave prison awaiting execution for failing to wrangle up the feral ghouls in time. But Gaius is also a total asshole who executes even the pettiest of criminals and kills people over the most minor mistakes. And he's also a brutal warlord who still practices decimation amongst his troops, where every 10th legionary in a squad is beaten to death by his brothers. Meanwhile, Constantine won't practice decimation. Wow, classy. And he won't execute or crucify people, unless the crime is severe. And he's about as nice as you can get when it comes to Legion scum. So I side with him, and I get the villa residents, the other Legion Decani, maybe? And the nearby Hunters Guild on our side, who had their huge lodge taken over by a fucking swarm of Night Stalkers, who we come to find the Legion had set them loose in the lodge to try and get rid of the Hunters Guild for good. And we all band together and kill Gaius' men and Gaius himself in 3 waves with my anti-material rifle. Good times. Now Dry Wells is a pretty small and compact mod, and is easily eclipsed by its bigger brother Long 15. But I also found Dry Wells to be pretty enjoyable overall. It's got fun and challenging combat as we clear these ghoul and monster-infested sewers and lodges, offers up player choices and quests that are on par with the base game, and introduces much-needed world building and glimpses into everyday life under Legion rule. Because what does society under Caesar's Legion actually look like when it's not in total war mode and actually needs to make civilization and society function? Because in New Vegas, we really only see them in total war and expansion mode, and we only get to hear about what life is like under Legion rule back east. And I commend these mod authors a lot for attempting and ultimately succeeding in answering this question. And overall, it's a really solid mod expansion that won't take you too long to get through, and you can take Gaius' armor early as a sweet reward if you choose to go against him. But this mod was the only thing keeping me from attacking the Legion, so it's on site from now on. Well, after I go meet Caesar himself, to see if there's any interesting new mod changes to his fort, which there really isn't, save for some new legionary voices, an expanded fort area, and Caesar himself, who seems way comfier in his dictator chair now. Dude is lounging and spreading his nuts out big time. But that's about it. But anyway, we gotta help out the NCR some more. So we speak to our new handler, the hard-ass Colonel Cassandra Moore, who then tasks us to deal with the Great Khans, who the NCR has a awkward past with, to make sure they don't help the Legion or interrupt the NCR when the second battle for Hoover Dam begins. And the Khans, led by Papa Khan, are pissed at the NCR for what happened at Bitter Springs, which was actually just a total misunderstanding, really, where some NCR snipers accidentally opened fire on women, children, and elderly Great Khans as they were escaping through a canyon after an NCR encirclement of Bitter Springs, and they're now planning to attack the NCR when Caesar attacks the dam again, even going so far as to ally with the Legion directly, which will strain the Bears' military even further. So I exposed this guy Carl, this Frumentari Legion CIA agent who was sent to get the Khans on Caesar's side, where I rage bait him into admitting that he thinks the Khans are unwashed savages who need to be destroyed.
Enough! How dare you compare Caesar's finest to this tribe of savages?
And I convince all the other leading Khans to not side with the Legion, which eventually sways Papa Khan over to my side. And instead of just killing the Khans outright, I believe that these thugs can serve a higher purpose. And I tell Papa that the Khans are just a sad collection of sorry losers and washed up drug dealers living on past glory. With the past glory in question being kidnapping the future president of the NCR when she was a teenager, I guess. And I convince them to perform a suicidal last attack with the NCR against the Legion. A fitting end for these dirty drug slingers in my opinion. They can give up their old ways and give their lives in the name of progress and civilization. And I think that's beautiful. And next up, Moore wants us to look into the Omerta family, one of the 3 tribes who run the Gomorrah Casino, as it appears there's some shenanigans involving smuggled guns going on there. And after a brief investigation, we learn that the Omerta bosses, Big Sal and Nero, are in league with the Legion, and are stockpiling weapons to launch an attack on the Strip and the NCR Embassy when the Second Battle of Hoover Dam begins. Thinking that Caesar will allow them to rule the Strip and not be immediately assimilated and destroyed as a distinct tribe. But since I'm a speech god, I convinced Sal that Nero is actually going to betray him and take all the guns and glory for himself, which makes them fire on each other. Debated. And I clean up the guy who survives, with another step down. And on the way out, I snag Sal's sweet custom Desert Eagle. I have like 3 Deagles now. But next, it's time to kill Mr. House, so I bust into his way bougier antechamber, but the console to access it is guarded by Securitrons, and I also upgraded them to grift extra XP off Mr. House, so fighting them wouldn't be advisable. Oh, I know. I'll pop a stealth boy, and these clueless clankers have no idea I'm here anymore, so I sneak past the guards, right in front of their faces, and go down to Mr. House's goon cave, and take the Crypt Keeper here out of commission for good. Next up, Moore has us deal with the Brotherhood of Steel, one of the most beloved Fallout factions, and she isn't playing with us and tells us just to outright kill them all.
I want you to find them, and once you do, finish them for good. Any questions? We can't afford to leave such an enemy alive.
Like, sheesh. Alright, Colonel Cassandra Vaughn, but it's understandable. She was there for Operation Sunburst. She isn't a big fan of them Steely brothers. So I access their base in Hidden Valley and start their quest line. And now, I thought I could take a shortcut here by siding with Paladin Hardin and making him the new Elder, as the main Brotherhood questline with McNamara is kinda long and tedious. And you can get Hardin to become the new Elder way faster than it takes to complete the whole McNamara questline. So, I thought I could install Hardin and then cut a deal with the NCR with him. But I fucked up big time. Hardin won't work with the NCR at all, but McNamara will. But I'm in too deep at this point. So, I was forced to kill everyone and betray the Brotherhood. Oh shucks. Really pains me to do this, but it's not easy to kill this bunker full of guys in power armor who all have powerful energy weapons, and the Mark 6 turrets might be the most powerful entities in the entire game. They have a shit ton of HP and regenerate it faster than you can damage them. Even my anti-material rifle with explosive bullets could barely put a dent in these things. So to easily clear the Hidden Valley bunker, just pop Paladin Ramos when he isn't looking, and hack the turrets to have them attack the Brotherhood instead, and they'll stand absolutely no chance against them, and they'll all get massacred pretty much instantly. And I then blow the reactor to finally destroy the Brotherhood in the Mojave. Man, the things I do for liberal democracy. I also finally got my hands on some power armor while doing these quests, which have gotten some pretty sweet mod upgrades. In vanilla, the power armors were pretty underwhelming. I mean, they looked cool, but they also weren't really any functionally different from normal clothes and armor, besides needing a boolean to check if you have training to wear them or not. And also, your character looked way too skinny with the armor on. But now, the power armor suits actually look, well, powerful. Your character is now way bigger and bulkier with the armor on. I mean, the shoulders are at least twice as large now. You now loom over NPCs with your new power armor endowed height, and you make loud thumps with each step. Mechanical whirring noises when jumping. It now sounds like a goddamn bomb is going off when you land from a semi-high fall. Although the power armors don't prevent fall damage like they do in Fallout 4 and beyond. You also get new helmet visor overlays, but if you find them too obstructive like me, you can just completely disable the overlays in the mod configuration menu from the pause menu. You also no longer use your Pip-Boy, and instead use a Fallout 4 style digital in-helmet screen, which looks and feels slick to use, and it's integrated pretty seamlessly. But my favorite new detail to these power armors is how you hold your weapons, as unless you're using a huge oversized weapon like a flamer or a plasma caster, you can hold rifles and long guns in just one hand, and the power armor absorbs all the recoil, and it looks really sweet. Courier just got plus 100 aura points. It really shows how big and strong you get when in your metal suit. You're just flexing on these wasteland creatures and goons, with the guns looking like toys in your giant metal hands. You also turn into a walking submarine with infinite air when underwater. You also move slightly faster overall, gain extra cripple resistance, and the best part? You don't have to worry about finding new fusion cores to keep the armor powered like in Fallout 4. Because Fallout 4 was actually the one to retcon how strong these fusion core power armor batteries were. As in Fallout 1, the description for power armor said its fusion reactor could power the suit for 100 years. But in Fallout 4, the fusion power was seemingly nerfed down from 100 years to 100 minutes instead. So this mod is actually more lore friendly than an actual mainline Fallout game. But overall, It's a really great mod addition that makes the power armor simply look and feel more powerful. And the only issue I had with them was when trying to wear the salvaged NCR power armor, as the new interface HUD wouldn't load, and I tried to look at my Pip-Boy arm, but the entire Pip-Boy was now covered by the armor, making the Pip-Boy completely unusable. But once I obliterate the Brotherhood and completely nuke my karma score while I'm at it, we return to Moore, who then has us run some security for NCR President Kimball's arrival, who is coming to Hoover Dam to give a speech to rally the troops, to whoop the Legion's ass, and to not give up. Kimball giving his speech in an active war zone within sight of Caesar's Fortification Hill. An extremely ballsy move from the president here. And sure enough, I foil a plan to snipe him from a damn tower and defuse a bomb an undercover Legion member planted on his vertibird. And once that's foiled, Kimball flees and flies away on Bear Force 1 as quickly as he came in on it. And once Kimball has extracted with his head still intact, Moore tells us it's time to meet with the NCR General Lee Oliver, which starts the final mission of the game. But before I do that, I do one last quest to get myself a sweet new shiny suit. So I talk to Arcade Gannon, get him to like me by visiting the Repconn building and the Crash Vertibird. And he then reveals to me that his father was in the Enclave, and we could potentially round up his old squad of elderly Enclave veterans to help us in the Battle of Hoover Dam, which we do, of course. So we find Hobo Johnson, Daisy, man, what the fuck happened to Orion's face? Maybe he's the real Birdman now. Judah, and Doc Henry, who was in Fallout 2, fun fact, who we get to come with us after helping him research a cure for Stealth Boy-induced schizophrenia in Nightkin mutants, which is some pretty progressive stuff from an ex-Enclave scientist. Bro was just in it for the cool tech. Didn't really care about the ideology, I guess. Also, Jacobstown now seems to have a friendly Centaur-run market now. Yuck. So we say hi to Marcus, and once we have them all rounded up, we meet them at their Remnants bunker and get a sweet suit of Enclave advanced power armor. But for some reason, Arcade is refusing to give up his cool Tesla power armor afterwards. So I just tell him to fuck off back to Vegas, and I never see him again. And next, I get Chief Hanlon to kill himself out of shame for messing with Ranger reports and radio chatter, as he was trying to make the Legion seem undefeatable so the NCR would lose morale and go home, as Hanlon had already decided that it's actually over, NCR has fallen, millions must flee back west. But I have him boom his Melanoff for such pathetic doomerism, so I can steal his sweet-ass Ranger Sequoia revolver. By far my favorite revolver in the entire game, and it packs a huge punch in this mod, and it feels great to shoot. The updated model and engravings are pretty sweet too. And it's also funny how small it is in my giant powered armored hands, and I use it to massacre the Fiends and kill their leader in Vault 3. Because fuck the Fiends, and they're great targets to test out new weapons on. But with all of that taken care of, we can finally start the battle for Hoover Dam, and we talk to Lee Oliver, who I see is wearing his NCR General Flour Sack onesie, and we fight through the dam, with Legion kill squads coming out of the damn walls themselves. And once we get topside, we push across the dam, the battle being more or less the same as it was in vanilla as far as I can tell. And the boomers show up, their plane actually flying through the fucking air, and they do an extremely loud carpet bombing of the Legion side of the dam. Imagine being an average Legion grunt and seeing a fucking plane drop a bomb on you. I'm surprised they didn't just give up right then and there. And then my geriatric Enclave allies drop in and start tearing shit up too. And we continue pushing and gunning down Legion goons until we come face to face with Legate Linnaeus himself, who you can of course just speech check into submission, but I think one of the medicinal drugs I was pounding to recover all my lost health during the battle had drained my speech by 2, so I couldn't verbally dominate him this time. But I also didn't want to just let him go. I want that cool Legate armor, baby. So me, my anti-material rifle with explosive bullets, my NCR allies, and my Enclave Grandpa Kill Squad dogwalk Linnaeus and the last of his men. And with that, the NCR now rules Vegas and the Dam, and my work here is done. But here comes one of VLK's biggest new features, as the game keeps going after the battle, and I see that the Legion's fort is destroyed, Caesar's tent is reduced to burned ruins, NPCs now comment on their new NCR overlords, the Great Khan encampment is now eerily abandoned, and towns and settlements like Goodsprings now fly NCR flags to show how the NCR has rolled in and occupied the place, and they'll be paying taxes till the end of their days. And it restores a lot of cut content and voice lines that were supposed to be present in the base game, as you were supposed to be able to keep playing after the ending, but that was all cut down for time. And now, I won't look into the DLCs for this video, unfortunately. I kinda already did all that, and I want to get this video out ASAP too. But the mods seem more of the same from the base game. Improved models and textures, follower mods for characters like the Dead Money Trio and the Restored Ulysses Companion mod, and of course new models, textures, and gunplay feels to all those sweet new DLC weapons. And maybe this video does well, I'll take a look at all the modded DLCs too. But it's more or less more of the same VLK goodness. But man, overall, VLK is a really great experience that modernizes and tightens up the extremely dated Fallout New Vegas shooting mechanics, animations, models, textures, and so much more. Shooting has gone from crusty as fuck and barely serviceable to genuinely fun and smooth as butter. And I had a great time just killing enemies, getting into gunfights, exploring, and finding fun new modded weapons to test out to kill even more shit with. And I was going out of my way to go into dark caves, ruins, and abandoned mines more than ever, just so I could find interesting and powerful new weapons to use. And it was a great gameplay loop that really made me explore New Vegas' world even more deeply than ever. And the UI updates and quality of life features like quick access menus, sprinting, hit markers, and more are all great additions that help speed up some of the tedious and boring sections of the game and make gameplay interactions as fast and as efficient as possible. And the huge amounts of new animations were all excellent. And there's plenty of new perks and traits that allow for more varied and interesting character builds and archetypes than ever before. And the Mojave Wasteland just feels more dense and interesting with restored cut content locations, new weird wild wasteland locations like the Von Groff's laser guns and the Plasma Ganger checkpoints. What in the goddamn fuck are these? Along with more NPCs in general, traveling patrols and caravans, and way more assassination squads makes the wasteland feel more alive and unpredictable than ever. And outside of a few bugs like the consistent crashing, some textures being absolutely cooked, and other weird bugs like getting caught in dialogue in a half-loaded area, or this one time that I had to fight an invisible horde of Deathclaws, and of course whatever happened to Orion Moreno's face. But overall, VLK is a really great way to experience New Vegas that makes this old-ass game that I love feel genuinely fresh and interesting. I genuinely wasn't really sure what I was going to run into next, or what kind of cool new weapon I might find. And as a longtime New Vegas vet who knows more about this game than the lives of some of my own family members, getting that old feeling of discovery and freshness back is a real thing of beauty. And I'd recommend anyone who is a fan of Fallout New Vegas at all, and has the PC power to download this mod pack, to absolutely try it out. You may just get your Fallout New Vegas swagger back. But with that, that's all I got for you today. And if you're still watching, thank you very much for doing so, and I hope you liked this one. If it does well, we'll do more like this. But that's all I got. I'll talk to you later. See ya. I love you. Goodbye.